It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Well, a good day and welcome to the program, and we're happy to welcome into studio again Brian Watson, and Brian is with ROSE, and that is the Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly, and we'll talk about that name because Brian's got a story about ROSE and where that comes from. I say I'm happy to see you, and I am, because you're always bountiful with great information, but you talk about just what the name of the outfit implies, protecting elderly folks especially, and really anybody, from scams, from fraud, from people out there trying to relieve us from our money, rotten scoundrel people out there that are trying to do it. Is that about right in the nutshell?
It is. It's a never-ending battle. We are in the scam prevention business. We don't want anybody to be the victim of a financial scam. And our focus is older adults. Everybody gets scammed.
Right.
But the numbers don't lie. The older we get, the more likely we are to lose money.
I've heard older people are just a little more trusting generation, aren't as aware, certainly, of some of the technical and computer type scams that are out there. Is that the reason why we just?
I would say there's multiple reasons. You hit on the one: a trusting generation, a respect for authority and law enforcement, and also not growing up with technology and being a little bit behind. But a lot of it is just asset accumulation. Mm-hmm. As we get older, we make more money. We save, we defer purchases, we feed that 401k, we feed those IRAs, we might have a pension, we might have inheritances, we might have a house that's accumulated in value. So you're going to have more money when you're older. Not everyone. I've met some older adults who are living Social Security check to one to the next.
Right.
But compared to a 20-year-old that has $500 in their checking account, maybe it's a lot of it is just having more money. So if you lose your life savings, it's absolutely tragic.
Older adults are a target-rich environment, and losing your life savings is not something to blink away. I mean, you've got stories, oh boy, of people who have literally. You think about 1,000 here, 2,000 there, and it can be absorbed, perhaps, but some people have lost tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars to some of these online and other kinds of scammers.
Absolutely. I spoke to a gentleman last week. His father is in over $4 million into a scam.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's a very educated, kind of arrogant man, the way he was described, thinks he's smarter than everybody, and he sold these. The money came from a family farms, and there were multiple people affected. So not only did he lose the money that he he had access to, but that was stuff that was supposed to stay in a large family and go down to the kids and the grandkids. And I mean, it's huge. I spoke to a friend who's lost $1 million.
Generational wealth.
And I ended up speaking, to the other family members, and it's caused strife in the family and embarrassment and shame and but then I met a lady in Tucson who lived at a very modest retirement community. She lost $189 to a jury scam, and she was beating herself up over it. She was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And for her, that $189 was like her spending money for the month.
Right.
And so dollar amount doesn't matter. Really smart people lose money, and the effects are tragic.
The cold victimization of it is just, that's always hard.
Yeah.
I know I've told you, I know I've shared with the listeners, we had a fellow who got scammed. We did a story on the radio. He heard it, realized he'd got scammed. He came in here literally in tears.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't, he told us how much he lost. He wouldn't go on the radio, which I fully understood. But I mean, that's right here in this town.
And it's constant.
He was so aggrieved and so embarrassed and humiliated.
I'll do a presentation, and we make it a shame-free environment, and people will walk up to me afterwards and tell their story because I've made it very clear it can happen to all of us, and it doesn't matter how smart you are, how educated you are, where you live. I spoke at an American Legion post meeting last week, and a gentleman came up and said, I wish I heard you a week earlier. Mm-hmm. I just lost $8,000 to a Publishers Clearinghouse scam. And, he knew the money's gone, and he just kind of had his head down a little bit, and he knows he's going to survive. But that $8,000 could fund a trip. It could fund a vehicle for a grandchild.
Anything.
It could fund it. There's so many,
Right.
They're just stealing money that is your hard-earned money. And it's very motivating for me to get out there because it makes me upset when people lose money.
Right.
And, and I just want to do more. And sometimes we just don't get the response until something bad happens. So that's why we're at Rose. We are very proactive and we want to get in front of people, whether it's a live audience or whether it's doing a radio show like this.
You wanting to help, the organization wanting to help, and it all comes in some of that backstory that we promised to share. Rose is an acronym, and it began because someone who cared about someone became a victim of a scam.
Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
So our founder for Rose is Joyce Petrowski. She lives in the Phoenix area, and about 4 years ago, she started the nonprofit Rose. She had a loved one that got scammed in one of these romance scams, which we'll probably talk about today because I'm always talking about romance scams. And it was hard to extricate this loved one from the scam, and Joyce was looking for resources. And she had started a nonprofit in the past, so she knew sort of the mechanisms for doing that. And so she started Rose, and for a while, the acronym, it's Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. But I couldn't use the name because Joyce didn't want to exactly explain where it came from because
it's a real person.
It's a real person. It's actually a relative of hers named Rose.
I get it.
So I asked Joyce and finally got permission to share. So it's really personal. She wanted to create a nonprofit that honored her relative, Rose. And that's why we used the name. And then since joining the team as a part-time contractor for Rose, I'm basically one of the only paid person, and everyone else is a volunteer. Mm-hmm. A lot of people on our board and our advisory committee have had family members and friends get scammed. Right. So it's a passion project for them as well.
I've talked to hundreds of nonprofit folks over the years, and many, if not most, come from a personal story somewhere, no matter what kind of philanthropy or what kind of social good work they're trying to do, helping victims of this, that, or the other. And almost always there's a personal story of some kind. So I'm not surprised to hear that, and what great work has been done since then. Simply educating people, and it can be difficult. I got to ask you something. I want to bounce back here to something you said a few minutes ago about there was the victim who lost the $4 million. Now, that's an awful lot of money, and that's even higher than what we typically hear. You said the word arrogant. He knows more than everybody else. I don't think that's a typical of a victim, but in this case, do you think, and do we know, or is there any way to kind of consider that the perpetrators used that against this guy? I'm sure they must have realized, oh, we got a hot one.
Right. So it basically started as a romance scam.
Okay.
Where the approach is online, either through, like social media, Facebook Messenger, words with friends. It could be a random text message. They'll approach somebody. And in this case, these romance scams have moved into something called pig butchering. And pig butchering is basically getting people to invest in cryptocurrency, thinking they're going to make a lot of money. And it starts in Asia. So a lot of it's in China, Myanmar, Cambodia. You'll get a random text message, and it just starts an online conversation. And the event, they always send a picture of a beautiful or handsome person.
Okay.
So in this case, this gentleman, he's in his 80s. They send a picture of a 40 or 50-year-old Asian woman.
Okay.
May not even be her. They just can pick a model or someone out of an advertisement. And they tailor their scripts to match what your background and interests are. Maybe it's travel, maybe it's sports, maybe it's entertainment, music, maybe it's animals.
They know which buttons to push.
They knew this guy was financially savvy, so they really played on that. And then there's the romance aspect where all of a sudden you're 80 years old, and in his case, either widowed or divorced. I'm not sure. But, there's a younger, attractive woman giving you attention. So it plays on that as well. So both the arrogance and the, physical attraction. And they played him like a fiddle.
Oh, boy.
And they get him to invest and get him to invest. And they're relentless.
And did he he literally felt that there was a romance budding?
Absolutely. I spoke to his son, and the son, intervened and stopped it, but then the guy got a new phone, and then he kept investing more, and he sold more property so he could fund more, because he thought he did the investigative work on this fund or whatever. Actually, I mean, it's a cryptocurrency. So, and he thought it was going to pay off. And then it affected his health, and
right.
He had, it's absolutely tragic, and it's frustrating at the same time. And then for like this son, it's like a full-time job trying to track down money and
right.
seeing if he's actually stopped. Because
but here he is. Here's this man who's never met this woman in person. The promise of some kind of reward, maybe a romantic a reward, financial reward, and all this. But all he's seen so far is what he's lost, and he's not looking at that part. He's got his eyes on what he thinks this prize is, and he's leaving a contrail behind him of dollars and cents. And even though his son saw it, can't convince him for a while, it sounds like, and that's how they do this.
Well, and because we all have a little bit of greed in us.
Sure.
We all want a great deal.
Sure.
We want a hot stock tip, and we want, something for free. And, they're very good. These aren't random people who don't know what they're doing. These are organized criminal gangs who are doing this. When it comes to I mentioned the pig butchering, the reason it's called pig butchering is it emanated in China. They call it killing pig's plate. Shazupan is the word. And they look at their victims as pigs. They're not very nice, okay? And they want to fatten you up, like you said, you're from the Midwest.
Right.
On a farm in the Midwest, you fatten up the animals and get them nice and big for slaughter. Well, they fatten you up by getting you to invest every single dime. And then they will do the financial slaughter.
Right.
But to get to that point, they actually show you a portal like that you can see on your computer screen that shows how much money you've made. And then they'll actually refund the money to you to show you that it's liquid. Then they go in for the big kill. They get all your money, Like I met a lady here in northern Arizona who lost $700,000 cryptocurrency, and extremely smart woman, very educated. I was super impressed by her. But like I keep telling people over and over, my mantra is it can happen to all of us.
Yeah, yeah. If you watch an episode of The Sopranos, you see pig butchering. That's how they do it in some of those shows. And that's a fictional show based on some real... This is the same thing brought to life, isn't it?
Yes.
They set you up, and they knock you down, and they prey on your own worst instincts.
Right, and they will... There's a lot of psychology involved.
You betcha.
And they'll play it. Sometimes they want to be really nice and sweet talk. Sometimes they get not physically, but verbally abusive and controlling. Right. And they'll actually try to keep you away from family and say, your family doesn't want you to be happy. They don't want you to find a new love interest. They don't want you to make money and be independent. So it's highly manipulative.
Yeah, they are. They know what they're doing. We got to take a break when we're talking with Brian Watson. Rose is the resource outreach to safeguard the elderly. This is just one form of scam. I want to talk a little more about cryptocurrency when we come back, because that's the name of the game these days. And we've just heard some examples of how people have lost an awful lot of money by getting scammed through cryptocurrency scams. It's Countywide. We're back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley. And your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Thank you so very much for your generosity and kindness in helping others. I hope that you take advantage of the many Arizona state tax credits available when giving to qualified charities and schools. If you haven't taken advantage, I hope you'll ask your favorite charity if they qualify. You can go to Arizona Department of Revenue website, search for tax credits, and look at the list of qualifying charities. Then look at your latest Arizona income tax return and see how an Arizona tax credit can benefit many. This is Lewis saying thanks again.
As the days get shorter and the nights cooler, make sure your future is wrapped in the right protection. Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, is ready to help you simplify and protect what matters most: your home, your car, your life, and your future. Jonna offers competitive pricing with a relationship-first approach that puts you at the center of every decision. Call Jonna Randall Murdoch today at 928-649-8686, located on Villa Drive in Cottonwood. Farm Bureau Financial Services. It's your future. Let's protect it.
We're back to the program. It's countywide, and Brian Watson with Rose. They talk to folks and to try to safeguard not only elderly, but to everybody who can become victim to a scam, and that is literally just about everybody. Cryptocurrency, it's over my head. I'm too stupid. I know nothing about it, except what I hear in the media and stories from people like you. But it's the thing. It's the name of the game. It's the place to be. And the scammers are way ahead of us as usual. Talk to me a little bit about kind of cryptocurrency. Is it more or less susceptible than a traditional, if you will, bank account cash check to being a ripoff, to being people being victimized through cryptocurrency scams?
So criminals like to use methods of payment that people are not familiar with. So we're familiar with cash, check, credit card. So what they like to do is do things like prepaid gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And so let's say they want to get money from you, they will direct you to a cryptocurrency ATM. They'll give you the address, and it's usually inside a store, like a gas station or a smoke shop or something like that. And this cryptocurrency ATM looks like a regular ATM. It's got a screen, it's got buttons.
Okay.
Sometimes they're called Bitcoin ATMs. And the reason for that is Bitcoin has the largest market share of all the cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
So I still try to use crypto because there are many different cryptocurrencies out there. There are thousands of them,
right?
But some are more popular than others. So let's say, I met this lady in Phoenix. She was told by scammers that they were her bank security department and she needed to move her money somewhere safe to protect it. So they gave her a QR code, quick response code. Remember, we would see those at restaurants during COVID, so you could download the menu and direct her to an address. So she walks into the gas station, scans the QR code at the Bitcoin ATM, and then that way it logs her into an account, and she feeds cash into it. Well, unfortunately, they have control over that account. The scammers do. So when they realize there's no money left to be stolen, they just disappear. So that's what a crypto, and I looked up. There's at least one in Cottonwood. There are actually like 600 cryptocurrency ATMs across the state. Like, for instance, I live in Tucson. There's one at the Tucson Mall right where Santa Claus is in the main lobby. And I'm not a fan of these things.
What's the legitimate use for cryptocurrency ATMs?
So invest in a cryptocurrency. So let's say so here's the deal. They charge a high fee to do that.
Yeah.
So let's say I wanted to invest in Bitcoin and I had $1,000 cash. I could go down to that one in the Tucson Mall, feed in $1,000 cash, and all of a sudden I have shares of Bitcoin. Now, I'm also paying they charge a premium. There are fees on top of that. You're much better off going online.
I was going to say, why can't you do this from home, having done a little research at least?
Well, because you're too smart, Brad. I mean, it's like, or you talk to your, in my case, I'd talk to my son if I wanted to do it, and he would help me set up an account if I wasn't sure. I don't like them because to me, the ATMs are like fraud receptacles. Well, one, drug dealers could feed cash in there, and it's a way to avoid the traditional banking system.
Right.
But two, I mean, it's a way to get people to, lose their money and they're not sure of it. I mean, there's a picture online of a gentleman on his knees on the phone feeding cash into a cryptocurrency ATM. And the story behind the picture is people think he was, a victim, being told what to do by the scammers because they keep you on the phone.
Yeah.
And they're telling you to put this cash into this cryptocurrency ATM. So, when I do my presentations, I tell people I want to do a publicity stunt where I take a truck, pull into that lobby at the Tucson Mall, wrap a chain around that Bitcoin ATM and drag it in the parking lot. Because, are they legal? Yes. But to me, I just think they're fraud receptacles and they facilitate fraud. And so I am not a fan from my viewpoint as a former law enforcement officer and for someone who works for a fraud prevention nonprofit.
What I take away from this is if you are with your elderly mother or if you're with anybody and they say, hey, I got to go down to the Bitcoin ATM and feed $1,000 in there, I think you have a right and probably an obligation to say why, what for, what's going on. I see that one just seems to be screaming to me because I'm an old grandpa now and cryptocurrency, I don't understand. I missed the bus. So I'm scared of it just on the face of it. But younger people or people more, exercised in this, I guess it has a legitimate purpose. I can't quite put my thumb on what it is.
Right. Well, and
you're skeptical, so there you go. That's enough for me.
With most scammers, once you're on the phone with them for a certain amount of time, they kind of have you because you haven't hung you up yet. Yeah. So I think the important thing is to get out as soon as possible. But it's tough because if you believe that person on the other end of the phone line is the security department at your bank, you're trusting them, right. And they're like, well, they told me to go to this cryptocurrency ATM. They gave me the QR code. They sound very convincing, authoritative. I want to protect my money. They don't give you time to think. Mm-hmm. So I don't blame people.
They're good
for falling for these schemes.
They're very good.
I don't want to shame people and put them down.
Right.
It's not fair.
Right.
The scammers of today are so much better than the past. So that's why we're talking about it now. So if you get on the phone and there's mention of cryptocurrency ATM, hang up the phone. Go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Just disengage. That is your best bet. We want to stop it from happening in the first place.
As soon as you can, and that process is your best chance to put it into it for once and for all. All right, we got to take a short break. We'll come back with Brian and more about scams. Short pause. Now, we're going to do another program. We're only touching the surface on some of the things to talk about. Unfortunately, there's a million different kinds of scams out there. It's countywide. We're back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley. And your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Thank you so very much for your generosity and kindness in helping others. I hope that you take advantage of the many Arizona state tax credits available when giving to qualified charities and schools. If you haven't taken advantage, I hope you'll ask your favorite charity if they qualify. You can go to Arizona Department of Revenue website, search for tax credits, and look at the list of qualifying charities. Then look at your latest Arizona income tax return and see how an Arizona tax credit can benefit many. This is Lewis saying thanks again.
As the days get shorter and the nights cooler, make sure your future is wrapped in the right protection. Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, is ready to help you simplify and protect what matters most: your home, your car, your life, and your future. Jonna offers competitive pricing with a relationship-first approach that puts you at the center of every decision. Call Jonna Randall Murdoch today at 928-649-8686, located on Villa Drive in Cottonwood. Farm Bureau Financial Services. It's your future. Let's protect it.
All right, we bring it back just really to kind of wrap up. We are doing another segment with Brian, And we started on crypto, and we talked about some of the bad parts of it. It sounds like in Arizona and some other states, there are efforts underway to kind of rein some of this in and help protect people. Is that right?
There are. Arizona did pass a new cryptocurrency law just to reduce the amount of fraud and give customers more protection.
Okay. In our next segment, which will be on next time, let's start with that so people can understand that there are some safeguards that are hopefully popping up to help protect them. Give me information, Brian, if you would, as we wrap up. So folks, if they want to reach out to you, your organization, what's the best way to do that?
Our website, roseadvocacy.org, roseadvocacy.org. Wealth of information. What we really want people to do is sign up for our email list. Comes out once a month with all the latest scams, all kinds of good information, good conversation starter.
Yeah.
My parents get the same email, so we can talk about scams, and I don't have to insult their intelligence or their age.
Okay, good stuff, good information. Knowledge is power. Our next episode of Countywide will again feature Brian talking about another whole spectrum of different kinds of frauds and scams and things out there. Talk about some holiday kind of scams and frauds and problems as well. Our guest today with Rose, Brian Watson. I'm Brad Miller. It's Countywide. We'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. If you have a topic or guest idea that you'd like to suggest, email us, news@myradioplace.com.